What's up everybody, it's Teramite back with another sound design tutorial. Today I'm going to be talking about the sort of fill bass thing in my new track called Watch Me. Here is the sound, and I'll play it in context for you, and then we'll get into how it's made. Alright, so first of all, this is a Serum sound, and of note here we have this macro automation clip and also a pitch bend automation clip that goes up and then down. So this macro is going to kind of shape the sound, as you'll see in a sec. So let's get into the patch here, and let me just mute this guy. So here's the sound again. Okay, so here's the patch. So oscillator A here, we have Squelchy 3, which is from Spectral, Squelchy 3 down here. And what I did was I went into Wavetable Editor and gave it a squarify. Okay, and then it sounds like this. So, and we have over here an oscillator B, a square wave, 1 up octave, and then 4 semitones. What this is this is going to be the FM from B modulator. And then we'll see that in a minute. Over here, filter is going to make it more valley, and then there's a whole bunch of effects. So this macro over here is the automation clip, and it controls wavetable position, FM from B, pan, level, filter, and all this stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the effect that these have on the overall sound. So let's start with wavetable position. I'll play it with and without. So as you can see, wavetable position and FM both have a pretty big effect on the sound. Wavetable position kind of gives it character, and then the FM makes it a little less like deep and gives it more like high-end sort of squeakiness. Also to note here, there's this level that kind of makes it breathe a little bit. If it was just all level, it would sound like this, which just doesn't sound that good. When people are talking, you're not full volume all the time, you know. So this just kind of mimics that sort of coming and going of volume. Same thing with this filter. So the idea here is that it's supposed to make it more valley. I'll play it with or without. So it sort of accents the vowel. This is just sort of a sweet spot thing, so I took the macro, hooked it up to cutoff around 89, messed with the macro setting here, and then it sounded good to me. Resonance goes up a little bit too as this moves forward, and also there's this pan thing to give it stereo width. Can be kind of cool if you mess with it. This frequency here is this other little bump here, and what happens is this is going to move the opposite direction, which is a pretty common pattern for getting like a nice vowel sound. So see how that changes the sound as well. Okay, so this is a pretty standard sort of vowel-y sound with FM. Moving on to the effects here, we've got this phaser, which you'll notice has just a little bit of macro on it, not a whole lot. And this mix is not all the way up because I thought it sounded weird with it all the way. So it doesn't have that much of an effect. There's just like a little bit of positive change, I think. So what I did was I put the mix just kind of in this range here, so it didn't get the full, like, this sounds weird of 100%, but it also gets some of the effect. Hyperdimension is just your standard kind of like unison detune sort of get bigger sound thing. Makes makes it sound just a little bit bigger and wider. Distortion, it's just distortion. You know. Chorus, also just big. Pretty subtle effect. I always just throw chorus and hyperdimension on stuff. But then this compressor here, so this is pretty important. Yeah, so really brings out the highs in the sound and makes it a lot more pronounced in your face. You generally want to turn multiband on and crank the gain a little bit until it sounds nice to you. Also to note is just the pitch bend is modulating this guy up here. And I've set it to +12, -12, just to sort of give it that range. So onto the mixer effects. We have Vocodex here, which is really important to the sound. Without it, it sounds kind of weird. You can see how it kind of sounds like the same sound, but it's missing the character. So Vocodex sort of gives it that snarliness. So kind of a standard Vocodex setup here for me. Wet all the way, sound gradizer up a little bit. Don't really mess with this stuff, or this, or this. This thing, I don't really know what it does, but turn it all the way to the left because it sounds weird to the right. Same thing with the bandwidth. Too far right sounds weird, too far left and it sounds real weird, so just kind of find a sweet spot in here. You know, just kind of fiddle with that until you like it. And then there's this pitch shift here, which is a little bit shifted up, just because if it's shifted down, it loses some of the highs a little bit. It doesn't sound that great. And if it's shifted all the way up, it just sounds kind of wimpy. So I'll show you that. So sweet spot for me is generally like where it is right now to kind of in here. Mess with that if you want. You can also automate some of this stuff to make it sound cool if you want to. The rest of the mixer effects are just kind of standard. We've got dimension expander, reverb, but not that much because you don't want that much reverb. Flanger, this actually doesn't make a difference at all, so I won't really talk about it. You can see I was just messing with stuff and I got that. So the saturation knob here is just kind of the same as the distortion unit here. You know, just kind of makes it sizzle a little bit more. OTT, again, is kind of similar to this compressor here. We've got the whole multi-band thing going on. I just like the way it sounded at the end here after it's gone through all this other effect stuff. So this is the basic setting for this guy, except the depth is turned down to 11 because it sounds weird at full. And then just filter out the lows so I can put a sub underneath. Boost this range a little bit just because Vocodex kind of kills the highs like I said before. And then limit it super hard. And then you've got this sound. So if you got any questions, feel free to leave a comment and stuff. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time.